Yeah, starting to work on some projects here. I guess the first thing today is we're going to start laying out these MMC micro commander. That'll control our throttle and our transmission. Get rid of this old antiquated system. Upgrade it a little bit, make it a little cleaner, a little nicer. So we showed you the brain box yesterday and the control heads. So we're going to be putting one of the control heads right here. That should work out pretty good. I think there's just enough room for it to go forward all the way. If not, we'll just move it over a little bit. So that's step one, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of know where that's going. Nice thing about this is it's just all electronic, so you can mount it anywhere, literally, and you're just running cable to it. So that's a very nice thing about it. Coming off the control box, you just use regular old Morse cables like you would see on a skiff or an outboard. Same ones. So we went and picked up a ball joint this morning from our marine store, and we had an old cable, well, a new cable from our skiff when we bought it. And it was too long for on that, and we had to buy new ones. So we've got one cable at least that we can use to kind of mock things up and check the layout, and also use it to determine the length of cables we need. Hopefully we can reuse it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and if not, it makes it a lot easier to try and figure out the length of it, because it's a little bit tricky sometimes when you've got corners and a long run or anything like that. So we'll pop down to the engine room and we'll check that out, start getting that lined out,
Mm-hmm.
and get this box mounted.
Yeah, get the old throttle system removed too, I guess, because it'll be kind of in the way, at least of the
I'm gonna have to
mounting
build-
spot.
Yeah, I'm going to have to build a bracket for that.
Yeah.
Let's go check it out.
All right, down we go. I don't think we've really shown it too much down here in the forecastle and engine room.
So right now this is for the throttle right here. So this is a pump from a Bennett trim tab system, and it's just got a couple of hydraulic lines that go to the throttle. There's a ram right there. It works. I suppose I could think of different ways to set it up, but it works. Only problem is it's prone to failure, as we saw on the way home. So yeah, one of these lines got a hole in it and lost the pressure, caused the engine to idle down, and thankfully we were out in the open and not in a restricted space. We were still in gear, which is okay, which means we could have idled somewhere, but it was kind of a little bit disconcerting at the time.
Yeah, I was like, oh shoot, here it is.
Are we losing power?
Yeah.
Do we have a fuel problem? What's going on here? Thankfully, it was simple. It was a 20-minute fix, and we were back underway. But that's going away. So this control box is going to go somewhere up here on this bulkhead, probably where this is, just out of simplicity. And I think that'll work out okay, because this cable's a little bit long anyways. So this is one of the cables. It's just basically a Morse cable, push-pull. This goes right through the bottom of this right here. And this metal plate goes right into this clip right here, into this gap right here. And that's what holds this and keeps the whole thing from moving, for instance. So that's the clamp point right there. You have one on this end. There's the same thing on the other end. Allows this cable to stay in a fixed position, and then the inner cable can slide back and forth. And then of course this just threads into the motor on the inside, motor carriage. So very simple setup. We've had good luck with our other one, knock on wood.
Yeah, we have.
It was on the boat when we got it. That's been 22 years ago. Never had a problem with it other than a bad ground. and that was a pretty simple thing to track down. I hope this one is as good as the other.
Mm-hmm. Should be.
I hope
No
so.
reason to doubt it.
So that's kind of the working end of it. And if we go back in here now, we've already removed the ball joint from the other one. So this is the old one. It was just simple pressure. Applies pressure to one side of the piston, it'd push it in. A solenoid on the Bennett pump to where you bring the toggle back the other way, the spring would just depress it, allow the fluid to go back to the tank. These are just on ball joints right here. So a ball joint to the throttle here. Here's the old one. Picked up a new one because the thread's a different size here. So the nice thing about the Micro Commander is that it's all one unit, the throttle and the transmission controlled by one thing. It's got a neutral, it's got a detent for both forward and reverse. Okay, I'm just gonna put this ball joint back here on the transmission, on the clutch. So we've got the solenoid disconnected. This is the clutch lever right there. That fits good. Probably make a new mount for this one too, just because this one is like pretty big.
Yeah, made for that purpose, so.
Yeah, kind of takes up a lot of space. We can just put in a smaller one, open up a little bit of room here. Tempted to come back the other way with it, but there's just nothing really good to hook it to.
Yeah, you got your dipstick there, and yeah, have to work around a bunch of stuff.
Would the dipstick be in the way? I am tempted to bring it
might.
that way.
I mean, if you did a straight plate off these mounting bolts, that might be alright. It'd line up pretty good. It'd line up pretty good by the looks of it.
It'd keep this back wall a little bit cleaner, not having that cable come down right there.
Yeah.
Maybe we could use this one too.
We'll come on this side then and check it out.
I looked at it earlier. The biggest thing is where do we drop it down?
Yeah.
Without it being in the way of everything. We could, if we came over here and came over, but then it's kind of going to be in the way. It needs to drop down from the ceiling right here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it could. Well, it can come down like with these guys there. That'd be alright. Yeah, just like come. That'd be fine.
That would be fun, huh? Let's try
Give
that.
it a try.
Yeah, let's try that.
Alright.
Yeah, so come over the top here then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's like right next to this pump here, I
Yep.
reckon.
That's good.
Like that.
Here, I can connect it.
And I mean, this can go on either way too. It doesn't matter which way this ball is oriented, obviously. So figuring out the length right now is all, huh? So if we put that there, we'll have to put a mount here somewhere.
That wouldn't be too bad,
Have
huh?
to come back a little bit because it's got to be able to drop into reverse or forward or whichever orientation that might be. So be kind of somewhere about right in there, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got down here?
Nothing.
Anything threaded to go into?
You've got your mounting plate there. Is
Mhm.
pretty much all. Short of taking out that lifting eye. Like you say, it'll clean it up. And if you're fabricating something anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the plate it's on too, that the mounting holes can just come off that.
Loosen up 2 of those mounting bolts and put a bracket off of there, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, that's really not too tough to make something nice right there, huh?
Yeah, be easy.
Okay, let's see here. I'm just gonna put a zip tie on this right here. So it can't move too much. How's that look?
That's pretty good.
Temporarily. Permanently. Yeah, I think that would be just fine like that, huh?
Yeah. Take this pump off here.
Need a hand?
Nope. Got it.
Can you just drop it straight down? That's what I was thinking. Just throw it on that shelf for right now.
Fine.
Let's get that other mount out of the way. I was like hesitant to like break it down until we're actually,
Yeah, in case we need to move, huh?
yeah, gotta move. But that'll be fine right there. That looks good, huh?
Mm-hmm. Good spot for it.
I
Nice
think
home.
so. Yeah.
I do like the way they did the split box on these
I do too.
because it's like much easier to like manage or get in there than like a straight face.
Yeah, it aligns easy. It registers nicely. There's a tiny little groove in there that helps capture it. Oh yeah, that's perfect up there.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got this tiny little ridge and actually has an O-ring in there, which is pretty nice. That's a good design.
Mm-hmm.
And just enough to register it there so you can get your screws run in. Inserts on the threads. So you don't.
Is it run well in here?
Yeah, how's it look? Got any saggies anywhere? So I guess we're just checking to see that it looks good out of the way and actuates all right too. Seems a little sticky, but I don't know if it's got a bit of a harder bend somewhere. Is it is your ball end on the throttle?
Yeah.
Just disconnect it right there.
Okay.
Because it's just pushing the whole
All right.
housing, that's why.
Okay. How about now?
How's that feel?
That's good.
Easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this spot right here would be that spot. And just put a little piece of stuff on here. And so now we should just be able to measure the distance right here. So the servo motors in here that actuate the push-pull cables are specific to the clutch or to the throttle. And so this is my throttle. That goes over here on servo 2. Servo 1 is for the clutch. So that being said, these basically just come up right through the bottom hole right here. And then they tie into a carriage that's extremely hard to see on this and thread in. There's a bolt right on the top of this that you can use to turn. And if you look down in through here, you can see where the push rod comes up into the bottom of this, right there, and you twist that to thread it onto the push rod shaft. That all looks pretty good. So this one's a little bit long, but I think we're just going to go ahead and leave it because otherwise we just have to go buy another cable. Like I said, this one's been on our shelf for like 10 years, so kind of feel bad about never being able to use things like that. Alright, you can see where that comes through down there, maybe.
Here, let you know.
Oh. So it comes through that little hole right there, and then it goes right up into the bottom of that black crossbar. And there's just a set of screws that drives it up and down. And servo motor.
Let me hold that light for you.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so that's what keeps your cable from sliding back and forth. And then this other piece just needs to be run down and hooked up to it. Okay, so now we can feed this cable back in there and we'll see how much length we need for the one that we need to buy. And this one's a little bit long, like I say, but that's alright. Alright.
That's not too bad looking.
Let me disconnect that ball and we'll see how easily it moves, huh?
Mm-hmm. How's it looking there?
Well, we still have to get one cable, so we can always just get it like another. This is a 16-foot, right?
I don't know. We didn't measure it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 16 foot. Can check the box at home, but I do believe that's what it is. So we can just get one just a hair longer,
Mm-hmm.
or a hair shorter. Smooth.
Looks good.
Yeah. So I don't see really any issues with it.
Alright guys, just got back from the marine store. Got ourselves another Morse cable, 18-footer. The other one was about 2 feet too short. Actually not too short, it would have worked.
It would have worked, but yeah, we'll just end up using it for the throttle, which will fit better there. And this one's a little bit longer, so we don't have to worry about
Being too short or too tight anywhere or whatever.
Yeah, binding it up in any corners.
Is
That's the biggest thing with those, is it'll take a pretty good bend, but if it's too sharp, then it binds it up, and you don't want that. So
yeah, we want it smooth.
yeah. So yeah, we'll get this other cable run and get some wires run.
Yeah. So I guess we'll put it around a little bit more here and go from there.
That's right. All right, we're just bolting this little push rod into this control box. You can see the push rod just goes into this black carriage right there, and then it runs up and down these screws right there. You can see the motor down inside. Pretty cool setup. There's just a nut on the top of this carriage to allow you to tighten it up and run this thread in. And then once it gets tight, snug it up with the jam nut. And then we'll hook up our other push-pull cable and stick this back on the wall. Yeah, I suppose we should at least stick it through here, right?
Yep.
And that's not going through anything else.
Nope, just alongside the other one, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. This one's the throttle.
This one's for the shift.
Alright, that'll be good for now. Nice. Okay, got it.
Nice.
So this just needs some power and a wire from the control head, and we'd be in business.
Dad got the ball joint tension socket thing modified. It's now wide enough to receive that, is it 3/8? 5/16?
5/16 stud on that,
Yeah.
same size ball.
So that was fairly easy, I guess.
Yeah. Pull this old relic out of the way. So this mount is going to go. Fun fact about this, it looks just like a mount that you would use for a little hydraulic motor in a Lovejoy. We got one of those that is on our bait shopper, so I'm guessing that those guys reuse some old equipment, which is good. Yeah, so I'm thinking that we'll just do the same thing. They just came in right off the bolts off the blower right here. We're going to come in right in here somewhere. Got a scrap of stainless that I grabbed from the shop. Might have to get a little piece of flat bar, but this kind of at least get me in the ballpark here. Make a couple of tabs. Weld a piece of that off there. Weld a piece of off here. And then this little doodad. You can see it's got a little indentation right there that rides in the slot right here. Clamp that down, and then the cable doesn't move.
Yep, and this will freely slide back and forth.
Yeah.
Working on the micro commander wiring.
Yep, just starting to make up some connections here. This is the power lead here. It's a little bit long. I'm just going to leave it that way for now. It's going to terminate the one end that goes in the box and do it up good. And the other one I'm going to leave long for now because I'm not really sure where this power panel is going to go. So we just put some connectors on the end, and we won't trim it for length right now. Just fixing to solder these on here, and I know somebody is probably going to mention that that's not a good thing to do on a fishing boat, but I disagree. according to the ABY standards, that it can lead to wire fatigue because the solder doesn't allow it to flex, but I think corrosion is a bigger issue than you're ever going to have with flexing wire. We've been doing it this way for 20 years on the fishtail and never had a problem. Never had a problem with corroded wires. That's what we've never had a problem with. And never have we had a wire break from wire fatigue either, so we keep on doing it. It's going to keep on keeping on. But first I'm going to put this heat shrink on there before I forget.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Good catch.
So these are just some locking spade terminals that came with it. Nothing real fancy. Oop.
Didn't see that.
Nope. Did that on purpose. I'm not going to go crazy with the solder on this. So I've seen a lot of these come loose over the years that weren't soldered. I guess it's easy to argue that they weren't crimped properly, which, you know, would be the case. And but I've also seen a lot of bad connections due to corrosion too. So yeah, just got my little soldering rig here.
Yeah, this little thing works pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you. Put a little bit on the tip right here. Just like that. So I'm just kind of like aiming to get it on this end right here and seal it more than anything.
Yeah, because your heat shrink will seal the other side.
Yeah. So this is good heat shrink tube. It's adhesive lined. Usually buy this stuff off the internet because it's expensive and hard to find it here in town. Get this in 1 foot lengths. Comes from Polar Wire. These guys got a place up in Anchorage that they ship out of, so not affiliated with them. I'm not endorsed by them, but I've had great luck with these guys. They have a good product. They've got a great price on wire, so I don't have a problem mentioning them. That's usually how we are about most stuff. It's a good product and fair price. Crimp, a little snug. So when you solder, if you put a little dab on your tip first, it's gonna thermally conduct that heat quickly. Doesn't let the heat flow very easily. So yeah, that looks good. Got my heat gun.
Yeah. Heat Wagner.
Yeah, what a nice day here in Kodiak, guys. Hot out, beautiful out. Usually go back and just flatten these a little bit. Got a dag sticking out. Flatten with some pliers. See the adhesive just starting to poke out there. That's good. Get the next one. Looks good. Little piece to slide down right here. Clean it up, make it look nice and tidy. There we go.
Nice. And tidy.
Looks fair. Now we'll go pop this into the box. This comes with some Liquid-Tight connectors to run them through, so that's pretty nice. Don't forget to put your nut on there before you feed your wire in, or you get to start over. And this has a little rubber gland on there too. They don't leave you any room in this box for fingers and whatnot.
Nope.
Kind of like, guys, really? We've always done all our own wiring on our boats, AC and also DC. I think as long as you follow some rules, you're fine. There's a lot of good reference material out there, a lot of good resources on what to do and what not to do, and probably some of the biggest considerations are circuit protection and also wire size. And so Ancor makes a really good chart. It shows you different wire lengths for DC circuits with both a 3% and a 10% voltage drop, and that's an important distinction right there. Anything like computerized, anything navigation, any critical components or systems should be sized for a 3% voltage drop. So your navigation lights, your electronics, your bilge pumps, all of that stuff, you want to make sure that you're maintaining a low voltage drop so you have the necessary power when you need it. Other things like cabin lights that aren't critical, you can wire to a 10% voltage drop, and so that all comes down to the size of your wire. And so yeah, like I was saying, Ancor makes a really good chart that shows you exactly what size of wire to use for any particular load. And one thing to keep in mind with DC when you look at that chart and use it is that when you size your wire for a run, you're sizing it for a return trip to your battery. So basically from your negative to the load and back to the positive. So if you measure it one way and you use that figure, it's not going to be good enough. You're going to undersize your wire, you're going to have problems. If it's something that has a lot of power draw that's pulling a lot of amperage, you're going to burn up wires, you're going to trip breakers, you're going to blow fuses, and you're going to have problems. So just remember, if you just measure it one way, just double it and you're fine. Use that wire chart. I'm going to drop a link in the description so you guys can find it. It's very helpful. I have it downloaded on my computers on the boats, and we reference it all the time. whenever we do some wiring, we reference it and use it. So it's a really good resource. So yeah, if you're comfortable with wiring, don't worry about it. If you're not, hire somebody, get advice. It's the best thing to do. Looks good. I think that looks semi-professional. So there it is.
Moist.
Cable gland right there. This is gonna help make this watertight, but also it provides strain relief. So these are really good, which is a very important thing in any kind of application. I got some new wire strippers from Juno. Pretty happy with these. They go up to 28 gauge wire, which is really small. My others probably only went up to about 18, I think. It's a lot better to use these than your fingernail to try and strip wire, I'll say that. Alright guys, so we're just working on this control head. This is a combination shift and throttle. Got a 7-wire harness that goes into it. Goes into all these little terminals, so we consulted the manual. We use all of them except one gets clipped off. We don't use. We're just stripping these back about 3/8 of an inch. Got a little piece of heat shrink tubing to go on there. Grab my terminal. These had insulation on it. I just pull them off. Sometimes it's easiest just to put it in the crimper first to hold it. And we can crimp it down. Give it a little squeeze right here. Make it a little softer. Got some solder. And we'll just put a little dab on the end here. I'll let that cool down for a sec. Slide our shrink tube back up over it. So these control heads are pretty tough. Use the exact same ones outside. We've had these on the fishtail for a long time outside. They do really well. If you put them in an enclosure, even better. But the circuit board is actually well sealed and they don't tend to corrode very well. The problem you always have is these terminals right here. So that's why I go through the trouble to solder them on there. And when you're done, they look nice and professional. And you shouldn't have much of a problem with them. So I'll just finish up these last two off camera. Drill a hole in our dash over there where this control head's going to go, and we'll get this in place.
There it is. And what's Matt doing over here?
Making a bunch of black.
I'm fixing this door, the hinge isn't flush on the door, so it doesn't close easily.
Ooh.
So I'm shaving off some of the wood door.
Yeah, these doors were awful sticky, huh?
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to be home with some tools. I see a lot of people commented on our Una video about our lack of tools. You got to remember that Una is on a tiny little island. It's about 6 hours run in, you know, a fishing vessel, a commercial fishing vessel. It's about a 6-hour run, and it's population 300. So they do have a store there, and it's actually pretty well stocked. A nice little hardware store, but tools are kind of spendy. So we just waited. Owner left on board the basic stuff that we needed, get us back to Juneau, and from there we picked up a few tools that we needed. We did pick up a couple of impact wrenches, electric impact wrench and drill,
They're outside.
which are pretty darn handy to have. Got a couple of these already at home and also on the fishtail, so we just went with Makita's again and made our life a little nicer.
Alright guys, so we're just down here getting this throttle set up.
Yeah, so we're just getting our box programmed here. You can set the parameters however you want on this, so it's really nice, just depending on how much throw is on, say, your throttle or your clutch between your neutral and reverse and neutral and forward. You can put a different proportion in there between the two different ones, and you can adjust that range of throw that the servo will push and pull the rods. So it's really nice. So to start off, we just went inside the engine room there and we measured the physical difference between neutral and reverse and neutral and forward, and we wrote it down on here. So in this case, there's about 1.5 inches between the throw on each one, 1.5 inches between neutral and reverse, 1 3/8 inches between neutral and forward. And then we did the same thing on the push rod. We just actuated it with our control head right here. And we measured it on the push rod in the engine room, and we got those values. So it's off about 3/16 on each of them, which means we need to increase the throw a little bit on here. So by default, this is set at 80%, so we can adjust it a little bit more. So we'll go ahead and do that now. It's pretty simple. They just have a bunch of different function codes here, and so I just have to read because I keep forgetting this. So we push the up button and it pulls up the function code and the value that it's set at. Yeah, so it's set at 80 is the default, and so we need to go to function code C6 here. So we're gonna scroll through this till we get to C6, and there's C6 at 80%, and I don't know, I guess we'll just guesstimate it at what, like 90? Yeah, let's just try 90 to start with, I guess, huh? So C6 is the clutch ahead. Press and hold down left and right until function begins to blink. So we'll push those.
Yeah, it's not much, so probably 85.
Try 85.
Yeah.
See where that lands us.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, you just use the up or down buttons on this panel right here to increment these, so you can increase that value up. So we'll try 85. Started at 80, so let's see what that one does. And then you press the right button and hold the left until it starts to blink. And now that new value is stored, and we can go measure it in the engine room. So we'll just do that off camera because it's pretty noisy in there.
Yeah.
Got our gen set running. We don't have any shore power here yet. So we'll go take a look at that, and then if we like it, we'll leave it. If not, we'll fiddle with it a bit more.
What you got there, sport?
Yeah, just getting the stuff all wired up. Torquing all these terminals down. Yeah, so this is all ready to go here. Looks good.
Probably better.
Yeah, I just leave it like that. So, yeah, that's pretty much it right there. Had to go get some longer screws. See if we can get this started. I always gonna struggle with this stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I got that hole cut. I've just been working on clearing out the fish hold, our stowaway gear brought back from Juneau. Kept all the old wiring and stuff just for the return journey. Went through that just for backup in case we needed it. Pretty hard to order wire when you're at sea, so
Hand me that Phillips there, please.
here you go. So kept all that stuff, but now I've gone through it, checked what is not useful or old. And, yeah, it's looking pretty good. Probably start working on a fiberglass project here pretty soon. Yeah, anyway, that'll be fun. Looking forward to a glass project for probably about the first day.
Before the magic wears off.
Yeah, the demo is the fun part, and then reality sets in when you're all itchy afterwards and miserable. So look forward to that.
All right, guys, back on this bracket here. So Matt got the old throttle actuator removed. It was just a mount coming off of here and that kind of hydraulic ram. Just pushed by a Bennett trim tab. So got that off. We got our new bracket made. Turned out good. Nice little stainless one here. Got a couple of threaded holes for the clamp on the top. I added a little tab on the back side that can go through this mount right here where there's a spring. So looks like my holes lined up dead on. So this has got a big old spring right here. Then kind of this little turnbuckle adjustment screw goes through that. So should line up nice and neat right here. Yeah, happy with that. So that one's pretty much done. I just need to make a bracket for the clutch. It's just going to be the same thing basically. This is 1/8 inch stainless angle here. I picked up 3/16 for the other, just because I don't think I'm going to have like a tab like this to come off of. It's just going to be 2 bolts that come off the engine mount, and that'll give it a little more rigidity this way. This can twist a little bit. These things, you know, they push-pull, they're linear, so it shouldn't have much deflection anyways. So yeah, that's pretty much it right there, all done. Happy with how it looks. Turned out good. Yeah, much better.
Okay, well, we're all fired up.
So the clutch isn't hooked up yet, just the throttle. enough throw there, huh?
Be good?
I like it.
Yeah. A little easier than that little toggle switch. It was pretty touchy.
Yeah, looks good. Well, I think there's not really any way to test it without revving it up. And I don't really care to do that when it's just idling, but
That'll have to be with our sea trial, huh? Determine whether we need to scoot your throttle back a little bit or over.
yeah, nice. Well, cool.
Radio.
I'm just about ready to head down the engine room here, and I got my bracket made and mounted for the clutch on the transmission. So I just need to tear off the old one and get the ball joint in place. So I'll take you down there and show you what's going on. Probably just a pointed thing. It's pretty noisy down there, so I don't think you can really hear anything. I have the generator running. So anyways, let's head down there and take a look at what's going on.